What's up, guys? LQ back with the LQ review after taking a week off for some much needed R&R. Went out to Hawking Hills with the family in Ohio, did some exploring out in wilderness, stayed in a nice private cabin, did some fishing, just had a really nice relaxing time. But now we're back to doing what we love to do, and that's talking about movies, TV shows, some comic books, and all that good stuff. So what I wanted to get started up with on my first review in a week is the season finale of The Twilight Zone. Before I do that, though, just want to let you know that I do have a lot of stuff to get caught up on. I've got the Godzilla review coming. I've got some other reviews coming, the Swamp Thing review. Yes, I'm in my car again. This is becoming a bad habit. But I do have a lot of reviews coming out and some rankings coming out. Just some stuff I need to get caught up on. But let's go ahead and talk about that Twilight Zone season finale. This was a true mixed bag for me. In every sense of the word, this was a mixed bag. You know, I was going into this expecting a big season finale with Seth Rogen as the star, and we just didn't. I was disappointed when I saw the turn it was going to take. Initially, I was very disappointed, and I'm usually a fan of movies, TV shows, comic books, etc. that break that fourth wall. I'm usually a fan of that, but when I realized that this was the kind of episode they were doing, initially I was quite disappointed. But that's what we got. You know, I thought we were going to have a season finale that starred Seth Rogen, and as he was being stalked by this character called the Blurry Man. Like, I thought it was going to be kind of like a Slender Man type deal. And that's actually why I try to go into like movies and TV shows without any preconceived notion on what I expect to see or what I want to see. Because when you do that, you don't let the storytellers just take you for the ride. And initially, I was resistant to it because I had this idea on what we were going to get. And that's not what we got at all. We got a episode that was actually headlined by Zazie Beetz, which is fantastic. She's a great actress. I loved her in Deadpool 2. Can't wait to see what she brings to the Joker. But we got an episode that was headlined by her, not Seth Rogen. One of the nice things about breaking the fourth wall is that we got to see Jordan Peele do more than just narrate. He was a supporting character in this episode, so that was cool. But the episode is about this writer. She writes the Twilight Zone episodes, and she's having a bit of writer block here in the final season finale episode. She's writing a story that's supposed to headline Seth Rogen, a writer that his story becomes reality, his apocalyptic story becomes reality, and she starts working on the narration. And the narration just isn't right. Jordan Peele doesn't like the narration, and he gets her to rewrite it. And the rewrite on the cards that he ends up reading isn't something that she wrote, but it's describing her. So that was all real interesting. Like I said, very fourth wall breaking, obviously, but it was all very interesting, and it kind of makes us feel a little bit like we're a part of the story. And they actually go back and show us previous episodes where the Blurry Man was always there. You know, they start talking about how the Blurry Man's in all the backgrounds, and they actually go back and they start pointing him out. Look, there he is here. There he is here. What's he doing here? And that was a clever idea, and it actually made me want to go back and rewatch the other episodes. But it was real clever inserting the Blurry Man into the course of the season. But let me be honest here. This was a mixed bag. For most of this season finale, I just wasn't digging the story. I didn't find the story all that compelling. Even when she was on the set and she was being stalked by the Blurry Man, I still wasn't scared. At no point did I think she was in danger. At no point did I think that something sinister was going on. At no point did I feel the tension. And I was just never really hooked into the story. Now, that might be by their design. It might have been super clever by their design that I never felt tension, that I never felt terror because of the way that it ends. And by the way, I am going to talk about the ending here. So if you haven't seen the ending, might as well click me off if you don't want to be spoiled. But I never really felt the tension, and it just never really hooked me. So for the whole first part of the episode, the fourth wall breaking stuff was clever. Yeah, I was disappointed that they took it that route, but it was clever. Inserting the blurry man where they did was clever. Making her a part of the story was unwittingly part of the story. I mean, this was all clever stuff, but for the most part, I was a little bored for the first 25 minutes or so. Now, early in the episode, she drops some clues. She starts talking about what the Twilight Zone is. And if it has nothing to say, then it's just a cheesy type horror movie, or it's a cheesy type horror show. But the idea of the Twilight Zone is that it has something to say. And obviously, I've talked about that all season long. That Jordan Peele has definitely had something to say in every episode. Some episodes he's done it really well, and some episodes I don't think he's done it so well. But in every episode, he's had something to say. So to her credit, to the character's credit, she's talking about how the Twilight Zone it has something to say. That has every episode should have a message, should have a kind of lesson. And she starts talking about Rod Serling and what he did for the show. And we actually learned that she was a fan of the original Twilight Zone series. That she's been a fan all along. So I kind of had this suspicion on who the blurry man was going to be, but I never thought they'd go there. And as a matter of fact, even when we got towards the end of the episode and we got towards the reveal, I still thought that it was going to be something sinister. I still thought it was going to be something evil. I really did. I thought that it was going to be this ending that we didn't like, that it would be something evil, and it didn't go that way. And I really appreciated it. So this is where we get into the part of the episode that I loved. I just loved it. I adored it, and it redeemed the whole first half of the episode that bored me. It might have made this one of my top episodes of the season just because of the way they ended it. You know, in an episode, in a movie or a TV show or whatever, you can struggle through the first part. Whether if it's a movie, you can struggle through the first act, you can struggle through the second act. But if you stick that landing, if you hit that third act and make it, do it really well, people are going to walk out of the theater. They're going to walk out of their living room, wherever they watch the movie at. They're going to get up off the couch and they're going to be like, "That was a good time. I liked that." It's all about the third act. And in this, the finale of this episode, they stuck the landing and they stuck it good, and I just love this episode now. I didn't love the whole first part of it, but I love the episode because of what they did. Turns out, all along, that the blurry man was Rod Serling. Yes, the blurry man was Rod Serling, and he is in the Twilight Zone. He is in that area between reality and some other dimension, between our world and some other dimension. He is living there. And when they brought him out and we saw him and he started talking, I don't know if they used technology like a computer to mimic his voice, if they just got in an actor to mimic his voice really well. I don't know, but man, it was great. It was great. I was blown away by how moved I was by that whole finale. I was like so overwhelmed with nostalgia and so overwhelmed with just wow. They pulled it off. They brought Rod Serling back. You know, I think he died in like 75, 76, but man, they brought him back and they did a great job with his voice. They did a great job with his look, and they just pulled it off. And he takes Zazie Beetz' character into the Twilight Zone with him. And I was just blown away. I loved it. It was the best ending of any episode in this season by far. I still don't know that it was my favorite episode, but man, it made an episode that was kind of middling, kind of just middle, maybe even a little less than middle of the road. I gotta say, I really didn't like the first part. So it made this episode that I really didn't like all that much. and just turned it into something that I was just in love with. I was in love with this. So yeah, they did a great job here. They stuck the landing, and it was a great finale. Just a fantastic finale. It was such a good finale that I hope they revisit this in the future. I hope they revisit this whole idea in the future of Rod Serling being in the Twilight Zone and still having a presence in this show. I genuinely hope they do. So yeah, season finale of Twilight Zone. It was good. It was really good. It was really, really good. And just, you know, if you're like me and you start watching the season finale and you're a little bored in the beginning, just stick with it. Stick with it. The payoff is just huge. The payoff is just huge. Yeah, you don't get much Seth Rogen. Yeah, there's some fourth wall breaking that initially threw me off guard. But the payoff is just worth it. It's worth it. So, yeah, great episode. Great season 1. I think there's only like 1 or 2 episodes that I didn't care for out of 10. The rest of them were just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And this episode really drives home the point of the Twilight Zone. There was some great messaging in this season. Whether you agree with the messaging or not, that's beside the point. That's beside the point. The Twilight Zone has something to say. You don't have to agree with it, with what it has to say, to respect what it's doing. That's something we've lost in our society. Oh, if you don't agree with me, then I hate you. No. Stuff like this gets conversations started. You don't have to agree with the messaging of the episode to be able to engage in a conversation about what this episode is presenting. And I love that about the Twilight Zone, and I love that about lots of shows and movies that have messages. Whether they be conservative messages, whether they be liberal messages, whether they be religious messages, whether they be scientific messages, whatever they may be. I love shows and movies that have messages that can spark conversation. And that's what we're missing in our society. We're missing the conversation piece. We jump right to the hatred piece. We jump right to the defensive piece, where we want to dig in our heels and get defensive about our stance, or we want to just lash out and hate and call people names and just no. Let's use platforms like this to engage in conversation about the important things. It's great. It's great. So I love this season. I love this episode. And I just can't wait to see what they bring us in season 2, which has been greenlit, by the way. They are going to have a season 2. And I'm just super excited about it. So that was my review of the Twilight Zone season finale, episode 10. What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying real hard to get to 100 subscribers. I'm at 76 now. I know that sounds really small. I know I'm small potatoes, but for somebody like me who just started the channel 3 months ago, and this was all about having conversations with people about movies. This isn't about making money off of YouTube. I'm never gonna make money off of this. This isn't about gaining some sort of YouTube fame. That's never gonna happen. This is just about some people coming here to my channel and having conversations about movies and TV shows. And that's, as I'm getting more subscribers, that's starting to happen. Whether you agree with my review, whether you don't agree with my review, if I miss something, I've done reviews, I've done sessions where I've missed things, or I've gotten things wrong. Let me know. Most of what I do is off the top of my head, guys. That's the only way I can do it naturally. I've tried a couple videos where I've done things with notes, and it just doesn't feel natural. This is how it comes natural to me. It's just talking. So if I get something wrong, if I miss something, if you don't agree with me, if you do agree with me, let me know in the comments down below. That's why I do this, is for discussion. Because it's what I love. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking part in watching this video and having a good time. And please, like I said, subscribe and join in the conversation. That's why I'm doing this. So I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for being here, where we get to talk about the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you later.